Hello everyone. I welcome you all again to yet another edition of College Dunia Leadership Thoughtful Leadership Connect. And today we have a very special guest with us from Shiksha Anusandhan University. He's currently working as the Vice Chancellor of SOA University here in Bhubaneswar. I welcome you, Dr.
Thank you.
Ashok
Namaskar.
Mahapatra. We'll start with the interview. Sir? Yeah.
No problem.
Yes, sir. Sir, my first question for you would be, what are the key factors that keep you connected with the education industry? And since you are working with the education industry and especially with AIM, you are currently very closely working with AIMS. And I just really want to know how is your experience and how are you so connected with this industry?
See, education is a very noble profession. If you look at last 10 or 20 years, people are not interested giving education. They go to management, they go to IT, and they are going away from the education. But education and health are the two pillars of a society. Even you go back to Egyptian era or Taxila or Nalanda, it was education which kept India very famous in the world. In Chinese people, even people from the Europe are coming to Nalanda and Taxila. So India was very famous for two reasons. Even 5,000 years back, it was famous for its good quality education, which could be in universities or in the Gurukula ashram. Second, for which India was very famous in the world, is spiritualism, where people thought they have to have a simple living and think for the society and work for the people. The spiritualism is nothing but connection between the man with society and man with the God. But over last 3 or 4 decades, we have become so materialistic that education and health has taken the backseat. I being a medical professional, I have 3 important duties to perform. One is patient care, which we have to do as all a doctor. Second, as a teacher, medical teacher, because I did my post-graduation in 78. And from 1978, I have been teaching the undergraduate and postgraduate. I finished my neurosurgery training in 82, and I have been training neurosurgeons from 1983. And probably out of 3,000 neurosurgeons in the country, around 400 people are my students. So education and educationist is not a profession. It should be a profession with passion, with mission, and with devotion. Because if you want to become a teacher has 9 important duties to perform as per Upanishad. There is 9 criteria for good teacher and 9 criteria for the good student. And that is what is happening in the ancient Indian history in the form of Gurukula ashram, when Lord Krishna and Lord Ram had to go to Vasishtha's ashram and Garbha Muni ashram because character building and holistic improvement of an individual is only can happen staying in ashram. New education policy of 2020 talk about holistic development of a child or a student or even higher education, because we all realize our education has become mark oriented, money oriented and selfish motive, so that people do not think of society, country or other human at large. So our education has failed currently to produce good human being. It produces good student, yes. It gives certificate, yes. It gives package of money, yes. But it also gives dissatisfaction, unhappiness, unhealthy lifestyle, and above all, a very bad health. Because when I see people at 20s and 30s having many diseases like depression, anxiety, they may have a lot of money. They have everything in life, yet not happy. So education is meant to make good human being with human values, which is lacking today. So you asked me education. Education is a passion, a devotion, and dedication to the country. So I feel I am doing my job as per my concept of education.
That is very descriptive, sir, and it was very informative of how exactly you have described the education industry. So moving to the next question, sir. Sir, being the VC of SOA University, how do you exactly strategize about the key programs and plans uh, what you are adopting in university for the marketing and admission of all the students?
It's a very important question. I work at AIMS Delhi for 42 years. I travel almost 100 countries in the world. I did many things for the people of the India. But at the end of my career, at 42 years at AIMS, I thought I have not done enough for my state. So I came back. I could have got very good package. I could have got very good attachment in Apollo, Amri, any other hospital, but I came back. I thank the people of Odisha. I thank for Lord Jagannath for his blessing. The question is that why did I come back and become a Vice Chancellor? I thought to motivate people to produce good students, you should have a top job. If you're a VC, then you can influence a lot of things in policy making and quality education. Today, if you again look at new education policy, there are 4 pillars. One is quality education, not quantity education. A student is carrying book heavier than his own body weight. And he doesn't understand neither the value of book nor value of quality education. He just mug up everything and vomit in the exam and get marks. So our education is not quality oriented, it's quantity oriented. So one pillar of today's NEP 2020 is quality education. If I give 10 minutes lecture of good quality, it is far better than giving 2 hours lecture of bogus quality, because that's not going to make the student good. Second is, we are producing human beings like robot. They neither have the skill nor have the innovation. They get good mark, and when they're out of job, they cannot do anything because they are not mentally, physically prepared to face the challenge of the society. So, because they are not skillful, they are not innovative, they cannot face disaster like pandemic, which is COVID. When they lose job, they go to depression, they commit suicide, they have psychiatric problem. So second pillar of the education is skill and innovation. Third pillar is that we used to stay in a joint family and help each other, compromise each other. And then you have to, when you compromise, you know that you get something and lose something. Today, people do not work together. So there is no feeling of community, there is no feeling of society, there is no feeling of get together and doing together. So it is important to understand the students should have a concept of working together. Fourth concept is holistic development of child, which means he should be self-motivated to help himself, for the family, for the society, and should have a concept of yoga, meditation, good character building, universal human value. So these are very key points of the society. And second thing, what new education policy says, there should be no rigid boundaries. Earlier, I'm a doctor, I cannot do law. I'm a doctor, I cannot do management. So if somebody is engineer, he can do pharmacy. That is the reason in this new education policy, credit banking system is there. If MBBS requires 300 credit points, and I, as a good student, intelligent student, who utilize my time very efficiently, judiciously, I can save another 200 points, credit points, in which I can do a management. So I use my minimum credit point for a 1 degree, and the rest of the credit point which is my bank provides me for doing another degree. So you can sign. Similarly, a doctor can go for dancing course. He can go for the art and literature. He can go for psychology. Doctor requires psychology much more than any other person. Similarly, a management and engineering are inseparable. So if a management student does some more study, or an engineering student go for management because it's an extra credit point, that's very important. So we have to look at the very, very positive way how this new education policy will be helpful to us. This can only be done when you are in a policy making system like university. So it's okay that I have joined HPC so that we can change some of the, it is sometimes not possible possible to everything, but we can do some of it because this project of Education Policy 2020 is 2030, 2035 and 2040 because it requires infrastructure, it requires attitude, it requires the IT professional efficiency and skill, and overall to adjust the system, giving up the old system. We all know that we change a garment and throw it like a new garment. But when you change the system, human being doesn't accept change of a system from another system. That is the reason in most of the places in India, when you talk about government system, this education online doesn't work out. If you look at Odisha, in which where you and me are staying in Bhubaneswar, none of the government school, none of the government colleges, university followed education policy or did have sufficient infrastructure to provide the online education. The argument is that out of 20 million students in India, only maybe less than 30% have internet facility. They have electrical supply uninterrupted and they have availability of the cell phone. We all know India is the second largest country where the internet is used by 90 million people. It's a big number if you take volume of 90 million people. But if you take the total India's population of 1230 million, then 90 million doesn't make even 1%. So when you look at the international scenario, we are the second largest country in the world to use internet. But when you add the percentage of population, it is only less than 1%. First. Second thing, our bandwidth in India is not adequate enough so that at any time, millions of people can go to net and utilize net facility. When there is a breakdown in the system, it is not that our computer is bad, but our backbone is weak. That is the reason when the education goes on online between 10 and 5, there is a lot of interruption in between because our system doesn't take the load. So in India, you and I, the IT professional and educationists, who see that we provide infrastructure with an adequate bandwidth so that our networking system doesn't fail in between. That is the problem why large number of students cannot go to internet and get uninterrupted lectures. That is the reason what we do. We deliver a lecture and put in the YouTube or put in the website, video in the website. That is when the student can in leisure time look at the lecture program. So there is both way. Fully understanding that it is not going to have 100% success, but even it is 60-70% success, it's a great achievement for India. I believe we get achievement. Nothing is 100%. So it is good.
Okay. So moving to the next question, sir. I wanted to ask that how does the curriculum of SOA University ensure the best practice in education industry?
All right. See, the question is, we are guided by our regulatory authority. Engineering, management and hotel management is guided by AICTE. Medical science, nursing science, dental science are regulated by Dental Council, Medical Council and Pharmaceutical Council, whatever it may be. So when you draft your curriculum, you take minimum requirement is the syllabus prescribed by your regulatory authority and build up. The regulatory authority doesn't talk about IT professional. How much IT to be given to the student is decided by the university. They do not talk about character building. They do not talk about psychology. If you know the India scenario, when 10th and 12th class result come out, 12 to 15,000 students commit suicide because they don't get their choice subject. Somebody doesn't get MBBS, somebody doesn't get IIT to commit suicide. Not only that, the things doesn't stop there. In higher education like AIIMS and IITs, every year dozens of people commit suicide. So it is not that if you get a MBBS degree at AIIMS Delhi, you are mentally sound. So what we require that the person should have self-confidence, he should be hardworking, and he should have mental stability. So when you design a course, you take the minimum requirement of your authority, what is your regulatory authority, and build up over that. character building, infrastructure, local culture, psychology, counseling for the yoga. So we add extra part so that university we have yoga teacher, we have got NCC, we have got NSS, we have got curricular activities, extracurricular art of living. We have got a called welfare center, student welfare center. The student go to village. We adopted village so that they go there. So there are many things which are not in the prescribed syllabus, yet incorporated with the student's lifestyle and working so that along with the minimum prescribed curriculum, we give extra. So that is the extra we do.
So that is how the
It is probably going to have some impact on overall development.
Yes.
Because if the university only gives the classroom education, the student doesn't go to the community, doesn't mix with industry, they should have innovation, they should have skill lab, they should go out to the society. See, for example, during pandemic, we distributed 15,000 food packages. Some NSS students went and distributed packages. They did not lock down themselves because we said this volunteer distributing the package to the immigrant labor working in a road or slums. So they came out from the locked system, shutdown system, and went to the slums or the highway and provided food package. So these are the extra activities so that they get.
So moving towards the next question, sir, I just wanted to ask you that if you could just give us some insights on how SOA University is like very welcoming to all the students of different races or economic backgrounds, and how exactly SOA University is.
We always try to get best students.
Yeah.
The students are the prized possession of a university, and it is like a clapping, two hands clap. Similarly, university has teachers and students. The university which have done good in the world have two criteria, most important criteria: quality of the student and quality of the teacher. Sometimes the quality of student may not be a rich student, poor student. So we are taking the students now either NEET or JEE, that is the national examination. So they come in the merit. We also give them, somebody is poor, if they contact us, we give them up to 50% discount as scholarship. So SOA University traditionally believes on service to humanity, community service, and quality education. So if a person is relatively poor and he cannot afford, we give them scholarship. For example, my driver, his daughter is doing nursing, is paying 1/3 of the amount. One daughter is doing nursing, another is doing medical technology, which is lab technology, that is optometry. So we have made our staff's children 30% of the fee. So similarly, a huge amount ranging from the 50,000 to 25,000 to 1.5 lakh can be given concession in a year. So we are not a commercial university. We want quality and we want good students. So many things have been incorporated so that a good student can come here and get education, quality education. Okay.
So, sir, if I would ask you about how exactly the university has, planned their roles and responsibility towards the students.
See, we look after our students very well. We have around 14,000 students in 80 different specialties and across 9 different institutions. We have got a multidisciplinary university as the current guidelines of the NEP. So it is a multidisciplinary. We have medical science, we have dental science, we have pharmaceutical science, we have nursing science, we have technological wing, we have management wing, we have legal science and agriculture science and hotel management. So we have diverse education so that we have make it a multidisciplinary university. Now the question is how we look after our students. We encourage them different participants, different activities. They have the robotic society, they have got innovative society, they have got incubation laboratories, they have skill laboratories. So even if you look at medical science, recently we opened the skill lab where we spend more than 1.5 crore. That is the best skill lab for medical student in Odisha. Odisha has about 10 medical college. So we are trying to do best for our student, which is not in the syllabus yet necessary for holistic development of a student. Because if you do not provide the infrastructure and environment and temperament, the student may get marked, but he will not have holistic development. So we look after all angles like sports competition, debate competition, cultural events. They have a band. We have a band, Soya band. There are students, those are good in violin, harmonium, piano, and they have band. So this doesn't come any curriculum. Yet they play their band in various functions and they are called outside sometimes from the university. So that's how it works.
Yeah. So after this, I wanted to know that what should be your university's top priority over the next 10 years? How are you planning?
See, our priorities will be to add more and more courses which is necessary for the development of Odisha, looking at the local and social aspect. Because, see, for example, many arts are getting now passed. If you look at the filigree work, if you look at the sand art or Africa art, or even the photo painting, many cultural aspect and social aspect going to disappear in next 30 years or so. Okay, so we should have a environmental science because our environment is getting degraded. We try to take students for the MTech, BTech, environmental science, and also the climate changes, because today world is suffering from climate changes and environmental pollution. So if I have to look at things, I have to look at the health and education. Health is quality, environment, food. That is the reason our agriculture university looking at the food processing and cash crop production. Only doing the traditional crop like wheat and rice and is not going to help us. Our farmers are having very poor income as compared to rest of the world because we do not have intermingling of the agriculture. We only give too much importance to the cereals, so that we have millions of tons of rice and wheat. One side it gets roasted we have no storage. So in food processing industry, we should see that there are proper storage of the food so that they don't go wasted. Second thing, we have got agriculture students going to villages and teaching the villagers how to have one crop which is necessary for the society, another crop which is necessary for him to earn money, for a mushroom cultivation or something which is required for the cash crop, where with less effort, less money, you can get more return. So rice or wheat is not a cash producing money. On the other hand, sugarcane, coffee, mushroom, fruits are also important. Like Odisha can have lychee. I never thought that Odisha can produce lychee. We never thought that Odisha can grow coffee in maybe Malkangiri or hilly areas. We always thought coffee comes from Kerala and Karnataka. So we can have change in the attitude of the farmer, where our student or university can play a very important role. We have started a climate center. That climate center is providing 24/7 information through our networking to 30 districts of Odisha. Because Odisha is a disaster-prone area, so we would like to work on disaster management, environmental science, agricultural products, because science and technology, many universities are taking. So these and human values. Because human values is a very important part. Many universities are going to start BSc and MSc human value, which will talk about relation, character building, ethics, moral value, work for the society, yoga, naturopathy, and meditation. In human values, If a person with a good quality education, a good human value, he will be absolutely a good human to serve the society. Today, our people are very brilliant, but there is no concept of serving the society. It is service to himself or the family. So that's very important.
Sir, since in the past 1 year, we have seen that the whole nation has suffered through the COVID pandemic. So I just wanted to ask you this question: that how exactly, the steps that has been taken by SOA University in order to tackle the COVID-19 situation, and they have ensured that the education is continued.
There are two aspects of the question. One aspect is looking at the student during pandemic, so that education doesn't suffer. Looking at the society, that they don't die or suffer from the pandemic. See, when the pandemic was declared on 11th of March, by that time, Odisha government has taken many steps to contain the pandemic and not allow them to enter to Odisha. And we were the first people to get involved to start the flu clinic. So our aim is that the student and the lockdown has gone home. So we have to start their education online, exam online, evaluation online. So while the education system went on online, we also give stress to the society healthcare. We first signed a memorandum on 26th of March with government of Odisha that we are going to have a 550 bedded hospital in some hospital, of which 550 beds are the ICU. That is the time when this 550 bedded hospital was second largest in India. Then over a period of 1 month or so, we added another 5 hospitals. That in Talcher we had 150 beds. In Kendrapada we had 150 beds. In Jamujhari we have 400 beds. In Tangi we had 350 beds and 150 beds at Jatni. If you add this up, it makes about 2,200 beds. So if you look at the peak of the pandemic in Odisha, which was between 1st week of September to the 1st week of October, we had full wards. That means 2,200 beds full with COVID patients, and we had 250 ICU beds all over. So that is the reason we got Best COVID Hospital Award and Vishwakarma Award. So our aim is to give the optimal care. I cannot say best care, because best care you require hospital like AIIMS or Ambri. But optimal care required, because even optimal care was not available in countries like US, in Italy, Spain and UK. So our aim is to first see that people don't die of pandemic. So we have ultra modern or absolutely world-class ICU with an intensive care doctor. That is the reason, despite of treating more than thousands of patients, not a single hospital worker of our some hospital succumbed to the disease. We had many people positive. Thank God, with blessing of Lord Jagannath, hundreds of our people get COVID positive, those who are giving service to COVID patients. Yet we did not lose a life. That is the achievement, that we give service, protecting our own family, protecting ourselves. What did not happen in rest of the world, because if you look at the rest of the world, I think 15,000 doctors treating COVID have died. And the maximum death occurred in the doctors, nurses and policemen, because they are day in and out working for the society in the road, in the hospital, maybe in the clinic. So we we ensure that we give service and protect the interest of the public. But in the meantime, our own self-interest is not diluted. So we said it was a planned way how to train the nurses and doctors to deal COVID and not get infected.
Okay, sir, if you could tell us in a brief that what exactly are the university's greatest strengths, and if there are some points or some insights that people might not be knowing about SOA University.
SOA University is a university which is ranking 20 in India today. And we are also, our medical college, which is called Institute of Medical Sciences, is 23 in the country, amongst more than 500 medical colleges. If you look at our dental college, It is called IDS, Institute of Dental Sciences. It's 12 in the country. So we have achieved excellence, but the sky is the limit. If at 20, we would like to have 15, maybe 10 in the next 10 years. Because when you get 90% mark is okay. When you go from 95 to 98, it's much more difficult. So reaching a rank of 20 was difficult, but it is much more difficult to go from 20 ranking to 15 ranking. That high will be very competitive. Okay, first thing. Second, our aim is that we have got twice NAC accreditation A+. That is 2009 and 2015. This year, in maybe end of this month or beginning of next month, we have NAC coming for the inspection. We would like to have top ranking in grade for our university, which is at least 3.8 out of 5. Okay, that is the second. So that we have got ranking nationally, US system, international university ranking, and Asian university ranking we have figured. Okay. Now the question is service, because ranking is one aspect. Service to the society another aspect. Service to the people could be in the quality of the you can adopt villages, give the service to climate changes, give them the quality food. So food industry, hotel management industry, agriculture science, agriculture industry. If we do that, along with the formal education in the form of medical and dental and engineering science, we also go to the food management, agricultural science. That will give us much more leverage, because food will never vanish. We will all need to have good food, quality food, and quantity food. So you know that green revolution in 1960s and white revolution in 1970s has made India self-sufficient in food and meals. That's a great achievement. Now, if we do not sustain that, soon we will be deficient in food, because our population will overrun or whatever it may be, will surpass Chinese population. So in 2050, India will be the most populous country in the world. That means we may reach 2 billion population by 2050. So you have to have quality food so that they maintain good health and good education. So unless you work for 20 to 30 years ahead, you cannot match the everlasting demand for the of the people for the health, education, and food. That is more important.
Okay, so sir, while doing all these things, while doing all your research and how exactly you have molded this university till date, I wanted to know that if you have faced any challenges in your past journey with SOA University.
See, actually, there is always challenge, because when you do anything, you need money, and you will need land, and you will need also people to motivate you on giving proper advice. I thank our chairman, Professor Manoj Naik, and all our advisors, because we have Dr. Acharya, who was the AICTE chairman. We have Dr. Ray, D.P. Ray, who was twice Vice Chancellor of the OUT. So he has enough experience in agriculture science. Dr. Damodar Acharya, who was AICTE and Kharagpur Director, IIT Director Kharagpur, has enough knowledge in engineering science. We have Dr. Mishra, who was in the National Hotel Management at Gwalior and Delhi. He is heading the hotel management. So we have quality people to advise us. But it is not the only teacher or student. It is attitude, temperament, many things which makes successful. So success is confidence, hard work, dedication, and honesty. So if a person is very good but he is dishonest, he doesn't do hard work. You have seen people getting very good mark in 10th class, but they fail miserably in medicine or engineering. So perseverance and honest hard work is the pay the dividend in the long term. So I would most important that everybody should work honestly, sincerely for uplift of the society and the university. You may be a vice chancellor, but we have 10 or 11 deans. We have a controller exam. we have been director of innovation, we have everybody has to put their best to get best out of it. Having in a system, having one or two good people is not good enough. So everybody should work in the same space with same temperament and same motive. The motive is one. I have been working here for the uplift of this university. If I don't have the motive, my selfish motive is the priority, then nothing is going to succeed. That's simple.
Okay. And sir, while uplifting this university and how exactly you are designing the roles and responsibilities, I wanted to know that how exactly the university is planning in the international affairs.
See, we have last year we had taken 300 international students. Our aim is that in next 5 years we should have at least about 25% international students. That will require to have from 12,000 to 13,000 students we have got. We have to have 3,000 international students. Last year in 2019 and 20, we have taken about 300. That means we have to escalate 10 times to get about 25% student with international. You can ask me how is going to help us. That will compromise the Indian student to get in. But it will give a leverage international ranking. It will say that Soya University is so good that we are attracting talent from the other countries. So while you cannot dilute the interests of the local people, you cannot also ignore the responsibility and the intent of the university to excel in the world. If you want to excel in the world, you have to see that your university is recognized in India and abroad. See, Harvard or Yale University, why the people go there? They should say, okay, this Harvard and Yale or Cambridge University from Britain or US. Why do they take? Because they think they have moral responsibility for their own country. Along with that, they should see also good quality professionals are manufactured or produced for the other country also. So that the world can have an equal development across the world. The problem happens when there is too much of diversity. One country is very developed like US or Japan. Another country like Vietnam or something, maybe Vietnam, I should not tell like that. Many African countries are not developed. So how can you have balance between the developed and not underdeveloped? That is, diversity creates problem, terrorism, dissatisfaction, violence, all this. So if you want to have a peaceful world, happy world, you see that every country in the world have a good opportunity to develop. That was the motto of UN. How much happened, how many countries has come out of poverty, that is a question of, that is not our concern. Our aim is to see that we have less diversity so that people have become more unique.
And sir, at last I just want you to address the students and how exactly, what suggestion do you have to the current generation?
My first address to the student that whatever you do with self-confidence. Because if you have no confidence, whatever mark you get is not going to help you. And you also have some faith on the superpower. We all believe in God, whatever religion you believe, whatever country you belong, whatever faith you belong, we always believe there is a supernatural which is helping us, and we would have faith on supernatural. And third thing is that we should dedicate our service for the society so that along with our own motive, we serve the undersuppressed, less privileged people of the society. For that, we need good character, good human value, and honest and sincere effort by individual students, because students are all the time thinking of mark and packages. How much mark I get, how quickly I have a campus interview, what package I get. I think the unhealthy mindset of package and marks should go. I've been telling, I don't bother for mark and packages. I want average student with good human value. I have been a very average student, but I always believe 100% in human value. Because this life is not only for own selfish motive. If our students understand, we have to be a first good human being. They all realize when they go to hospital, they want a good doctor. When they go to teaching institution, they got a good teacher. When they go to a judge, they want a good judge. That means everybody understand value of a good human being when they need that moment. If you go to high court and judge is bad, you will not get justice. You go to college and teacher is bad, you will not get education. So everybody understand the value of goodness, yet do not act accordingly. So I want all the students to understand how the good values are going to help them in long run. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir,
namaskar.
for your precious time. It was very interactive session with you.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot, sir.